Hey, FootClan, we have a great show prepared for you today. But listen, if you play on FanDuel or if you play on Draft or you play on DraftKings, we got something special for you. If you haven't checked it out yet, we have a once-a-week fantasy football DFS podcast hosted by Mike Wright featuring Ben Cummins and Chris Meany. And if you have not played before, this is the absolute best way to connect with DFS for the very first time. Check it out on iTunes. Subscribe to the podcast. It's once a week, and it'll get you ready to play DFS.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Play Draft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in.
Is that the sound you were making watching the Houston Texans and the Bengals play last night? It was, my eyes.
Yeah. You know,
my eyeballs.
I realized a lot of different things last night while I was trying to watch this game. By the way, the name of our DFS podcast is the Fantasy Footballers DFS Podcast. That's what you search for on iTunes if you want to find it.
That name sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. So, I'm watching this
game. A lot of
game.
Effort went into the name.
And I guess I just want to muse on this for a second. Like, you know, ratings were down a little bit last year for the NFL. And I realized that if I were watching Tom Brady collapse on Thursday Night Football, it would have been more entertaining.
Well, that's just, there's a level of intrigue.
Well, him or years ago, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, if those big iconic there's Carson Wentz is not iconic
yet.
Andy Dalton is not iconic. And so you watch this game, and I don't know if I've seen a worse quarterback performance than Deshaun Watson's for the win. He had one play that was incredible, and it won them the game.
I was going to say, you've seen worse quarterback performances on Thursday by Andy Dalton. If you remember a couple years back, him versus the Browns.
And now you have people talking about A.J. McCarron.
Oh, get out of here.
You have people freaking out on Twitter asking me about dropping Eifert, dropping Green, or trading Green, or just not starting Green.
Dropping Mixon, dropping everyone. Everyone's like, should I drop all of my players and trade A.J. Green?
And it was bad. I mean, it was just plain bad. Here's how bad. If you didn't hear this stat, which you probably already have, no team since 1939 has started off the first two games at home and had 0 touchdowns.
That's pretty.
The 1939 Eagles. Remember them?
Nah.
No, me neither.
Oh, yeah, they were a bad team.
They had a red-haired quarterback named Kurt Schubuckle.
Oh, tell me that's the truth.
I just made that up.
Kurt Schubuckle.
But I mean, it's
legendary
failure by
Schubuckle.
Andy, and he did have a touchdown pass.
Yeah, that
called back and didn't turn the ball over. Like, it wasn't 5 turnovers; it was no turnovers. Got you 11 fantasy points.
Threw a great touchdown pass to Tyler Eifert, who went out of bounds like an idiot and then came back in.
Oh wow, the visceral!
I was
like
I wanted
an idiot.
To see, yeah, I mean he's running and it's like, dude, stop before you go out of bounds or you can't catch the ball anymore. No, all right.
Yeah, so we basically just jumped right into the quick question, which was to reflect on this Thursday night game. I mean, at the end of the day, Joe Mixon had the most carries on Cincinnati. He has yet to flash on a single play this year, which is disappointing to me. Like, you can have a bad performance or low snap counts, but you'd expect a flash. I still think he's the back to own there, and I still think it will come around. It's just we have a new Jeff Fisher in town, and that's
exactly
Marvin
how
Lewis.
I feel. I mean, I am so sick of Marvin Lewis. The truth,
that's the back to own.
The back to own, in the long term, I think it will be, but it will be because of injury, not because of decision to give one guy the ball. I mean,
it will get better. Here's what you got. It will. No, it will get better. You have a terrible offensive line right now.
Yes.
You have a quarterback playing very poorly that has shown he can play in the past.
Yes.
And you had 2 very difficult matchups with Baltimore and Houston. Even though they're both at home, those are 2 of the best defenses in football. Probably 2 of the top 5. Two of the top 10.
It's very possible, and I can't think of a player's name, but this has happened before where someone comes out and they just stink, and it's the beginning of the season, so it leaves a mark on you. It leaves a mark on your soul when you see a player so bad to start the year. But then as the year progresses, you're like, oh, well, they're okay. And it turns out that they were playing. Their early matchups were against the best defenses in the NFL. So
next week, I believe Dalton goes and plays Green Bay.
Oh, it's not good. In Lambeau.
Yeah, and that's that defense. I mean, last year would have been great to play against, but what they showed in week one.
Week one. Let's see week 2.
Yes, but they could be a good defense is my point.
I tweeted last night, Lamar Miller and Deontay Foreman rotating drives on a team that can't get a first down with the quarterback scared of his shadow. That was the best summary that I had for what I was seeing last night. The equation for Deshaun Watson was take the snap, stare at DeAndre Hopkins, freak out, and then try not to get sacked.
Well, and a lot of throwing to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, there was, 13 targets?
I mean, he went Brian Hoyer on that team. I mean, he's targeting the number 1 guy.
Yeah, but what's up with Hopkins like having
double
catching every ball and dropping so many over the first 2 weeks?
His hands got tired from so many targets.
Let's make this practical for our listeners right now. Practical takeaways from this game. So give me your other players that you're cutting right now. What's your worry level of? I think Lamar Miller is the highest, maybe the most relevant question to ask in this game. Because of check down passes, he still ended up with 12 fantasy points. But Deontay Foreman looked great. He looked more explosive to the outside by far. I don't think Lamar Miller looked bad. Like, I wouldn't say, oh, man, Lamar Miller, you stink. It was just that Deontay Foreman impressed me.
Well, and that would be the issue, right? Because Lamar Miller looked exactly how he has looked since he's been a Houston Texan, which he's been a guy that's relied on volume, on getting the rock enough to where he always puts up about 12, 13 fantasy points, which is fine, but he does that not because of efficiency, but because of volume. If Deontay Foreman comes in and starts having the workload with him, then you're going to have a real problem for Lamar Miller's fantasy value. I think because he scored 12-plus fantasy points, I'm a Lamar Miller owner. He's one of those package trade guys for a better running back option right now. And Deontay Foreman, I think, is someone that needs to be probably picked up.
Yeah, he needs to be picked up, but he was still 12 for 40. I mean, he wasn't – I know that he flashed a little bit, but Lamar Miller had that flash run as well where he ran up the middle, hit the spin button, and got an extra 7 yards.
Nothing wrong with 12 for 40. He had a couple of those.
12 for 40 is not very good. Man.
Well,
that's
but
3.3.
he had so many.
3.3.
But he had
what do you
so
mean
many.
3.3. 12 for 40 is not 3.3.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like it would be about 3.3.
It is.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Math. All right, look.
But
they just jammed it up. They jammed it up the middle over and over and over again.
I was going to say there was like 4 or 5 plays where it was where he got the rock in those situations where it was like, remember where there was cover 0 and they're selling out to stop the run, and he'd get -2 on those plays. But he did look explosive, fast, good. I mean, I've always been a Deontay Foreman fan.
My point was Miller is still the running back to own. Foreman should be picked up. I believe Miller will hold on to the majority of the work. And I mean, you saw the game script for this team. They want to run, and they want to run a lot. Was it 18 carries for Lamar Miller? Do I have that right?
Yeah, they want to put Watson in a position to make the least mistakes.
And so both of these guys could see 10+ carries a game.
Yeah.
Tyler Eifert. Are you sticking with Tyler Eifert? Would you rather have Charles Clay or Tyler Eifert?
Man.
I know my opinion. I want to get yours. I would stick with him. That's my
I
take.
would stick with him too.
Yeah, he looked all right. He got injured again. So
it doesn't really get much worse than 0 touchdowns in 2 games, and you still have had – I mean, A.J. Green, he still gets the ball thrown to him regardless of 2-3 defenders on him. John Ross never saw the field again after his fumble.
Classic Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, so all right. I don't want to linger there. We have we have the other matchup previews today on the show. We have in or out. We have another Daily Dose segment where we're going to take each other on in a experts draft, live draft here on the show.
Taking it up a notch.
5 players per team, and then one of you guys will eat something terrible next week because it won't be me. And
also to follow up on that, Jason picked a spam eggs and rice for me, and I was very not excited to indulge in this. But once I started eating, I was very excited, and I now like spam.
This is This is my fault because I couldn't join you guys for lunch to actually pick something bad. I saw you post.
What are you talking?
I saw you post those pictures. Every reply to those pictures was delicious. That is exactly what the replies were.
If I had said, Andy, I'm ordering you Spam and eggs for lunch, what would your reaction be?
I would be disappointed, but I'd be happy to eat the eggs. You should have had just Spam. That's the way you would have done it properly.
Well,
Jason.
I don't make the menu.
That would have been great because I like Spam.
Jason also got watered. You can see that on Twitter for his Moncrief bet. All right, you can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers if you want to see that. Follow along with any of the new articles that go up on the website. Look, this show, if you're joining us for the first time, maybe you're a new listener for this year, you want to understand what this show is all about, we're here to be accurate, we're here to be entertaining, and we're here to make your league absolutely fun all year long. We kind of take a holistic approach. Look, we can give you the stat lines, and we do, and we can be accurate with our predictions, but we're not going to be perfect. But what you need to do is you're going to need to make decisions in your league based on your league mates, your formats, and we want to equip you to make those decisions the best way you can. We prepare you for your draft, but Jason always says, you don't win your league at the draft. You have to be able to make waiver wire moves. You have to be able to discern a good and a bad trade and make those moves through the year because things like David Johnson happen, right?
To everyone.
Well, just to me, though, in our league.
Well, you are the fantasy reaper. I mean, that's only fair.
Somebody was giving me the fantasy reaper for Andy Dalton last night. Did I reap Andy Dalton? Am I the Red Reaper?
Oh, I like it.
I think Andy Dalton is the Red Reaper on all fantasy value for that team.
That's
basically what happened. So, hey, look.
The harvest is bountiful this year.
Pretty much.
It's nothing. You get nothing.
There is no food to eat. From time to time, we like to read a review from iTunes on the show. We appreciate everybody that's left us iTunes reviews, that subscribes, that listens to the show, supports this independent podcast, and we're going to do it right now.
Review-a-saurus Rex.
This one comes in from Brino23. If you ain't first, you're last. 5 stars. I have subscribed to the Fantasy Footballers for the past 2 years, and as much as I would love to share their vast fantasy football knowledge, tips, and humor with the rest of my friends and league, I simply cannot. It goes against my core fantasy football value of if you ain't first, you're last. And I personally enjoy winning. So, while my league continues to use generic second-rate fantasy advice and analysis, I will continue using my not-so-secret weapon of mass destruction.
Ooh.
Thanks to you guys from the Fantasy Footballers. I love ya, Brino23. You know what, Brino?
We love you.
We love ya, too.
When you said Brino, I immediately said, oh, that sounds like rhino. Let's make the sound a rhinoceros makes. And then I realized I don't know what sound a rhinoceros makes.
Ooh.
Does anybody?
I'm thinking about it right now.
Brooks?
I'm
No?
sure it's something like...
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, it's like a zebra. I mean, like there's just these weird noises these animals make.
Oh my goodness! What was that again, Jason?
That's a happy rhinoceros.
Oh, he was in heat.
You can,
He is.
All right, let's get into
to
some
that
news and
You
notes.
can tell it's Friday.
Oh man.
FootClan Friday.
All right. Well, we're gonna make it through. We are gonna talk matchups, but first we're gonna give away a gift card every Friday. All of our patrons at jointhefoot.com are entered into a contest, and we give away a $40 gift card to shopballers.com. Today's winner is Skip Clifford.
Yeah,
Skip Clifford has the coolest name in town, and he's won a $40 gift card to shopballers.com. Congratulations, Skip.
Congrats.
Clifford.
You are the winner.
News and notes from around the league.
Now I'm just imagining a reenactment of the movie Heat, but it's only rhinoceros.
It's better to you're the only one imagining that, first of all, but it's better to imagine
you
that.
are now.
Yeah. I remember
Rhinos
that.
robbing a bank.
movie
Was
was
Val
boring.
Kilmer in that movie?
He was.
Yeah.
Skinny Val Kilmer.
Which now has to be said. Sammy Biscuits. Sam Bradford remained limited at Thursday's practice. The Vikings said that they are limiting him due to a knee injury. The Vikings, according to RotoWorld, are just limiting his reps. I am a little bit concerned. There is some opinion out there. Pro Football Talk talked about the fact that there's some concern about, look, that's a multiple ACL knee.
Yeah, if he's having soreness, it's certainly not good. I mean, you don't limit a quarterback his age's reps usually when there's absolutely nothing wrong. You just go, hey, why don't you just not practice today? And my worry is more about, okay, the offensive line looked good. That was why I believed in Sam Bradford. But how much of that was actually just the New Orleans pass rush? And now they're going to Pittsburgh. They can get after the quarterback a little bit better. We're going to learn. This is the game that I want to see more than any game for learning this week is what is true about Minnesota's offense.
All right. What do you make of this Odell Beckham Jr. news? A lot of people heard this. He said he was dealing with a 6 to 8 week injury, and he was kind of trying to let people know what he was recovering from. I saw Twitter filled with owners of Odell Beckham Jr. just all of a sudden saying now he's out 6 to 8 weeks. They were confused. They didn't understand what had happened. This injury took place 25 days ago.
Yeah, so you know what I would do? If I were Odell Beckham and, everyone saw the injury, it looked horrifying. I would tell people I'm dealing with an injury that probably takes 2 to 3 months to recover from. And then when I come back week 2, people are like, holy crap,
Superman.
This guy is incredible.
He did clarify the comments, said that some people could come back in 4, some people it'll take 12. We
starting
just
to sound
need to
like a
monitor,
Mortensen injury.
We just need to monitor
2 to 30 weeks.
We just need to monitor the practice. The problem this week, just like last week, Odell Beckham is on Monday night. That is no bueno. That means you need to, if you're the Odell Beckham owner, you either have to plug in somebody now and just accept that you're not going to have Odell, or you need to pick up someone from that game. Sterling Shepard is on a lot of waivers. I'm sure Brandon Marshall is going to be on a lot of waivers now this coming week.
Evan Ingram.
Eric Ebron is also an option that you can find on waivers who's in the Monday night game on the other side of the ball. So you have options, but make sure you're planning ahead, prepared for it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday that I basically said, if you don't think you're going to be around Monday night ready to make a quick move, you're going to need to just lock somebody else in.
I agree.
And he had Deshaun Jackson. So he was in that position of, do I go Deshaun Jackson or do I wait and try to get Shepard in there?
I'd go Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, that's kind of what I told him because he wasn't sure how nimble he could be on a Monday night, which I understand. People can't always be sitting there waiting to make a roster switch.
What's wrong with you? You should be.
The reality is
jobs and families.
The reality is if we knew for sure that Odell was back, for sure, of course you would play him. But there's still the chance in that situation that he's used more as a decoy and he's not 100%. So I would play Deshaun Jackson if you're in one of those issues.
Colts have named Jacoby Brissett their starting quarterback for week number 2. This is not bad news for the receivers in Indianapolis.
No. Or
not
the running
necessarily
backs.
good news, but not bad news.
This is literally only bad news for Scott Tolzien. Yeah. This is the only person
on Earth.
Slightly bad news for the Arizona Cardinals as well.
Jordan Howard was limited in Thursday's practice. They say he's dealing with a shoulder injury. No indication that it's serious. Pay attention to that through the weekend, but right now we have no reason to be concerned about him starting that game. Something to be aware of, Adam Gase said Ajayi is dealing with knee soreness, and he's been doing it for a while, but that is not a big issue. We know that the old report of Ajayi is, look, his knee is bone on bone. He does not have I don't think he has
cartilage.
Yeah, he has no cartilage. So this was something
supposed
where
to be a top pick coming into the draft. He fell to the 5th round because of that. So that's why you're concerned.
And now he is going to play 16 straight weeks of football. I mean, this is why I had the concern for Ajayi when the Hurricane moved the game. Like his knees, man, can he really handle the workload that they want to give him?
Are you changing anything in your fantasy approach with Ajayi?
Not yet.
Yeah, I don't think I would because I would risk it and say I'm going to hope that he can hold out. But I'm
right there with Adam Gase. I think I'm with Adam Gase. We're just going to say, well, we'll go till the knee gives out.
Yeah, exactly. Go till it gives out, but you need to be ready. If you have 2 stud running backs, like 2 starters, basically Ajayi and someone else, you make sure you have a third option ready at some point. That needs to be on your priority list.
All right, before we get into in or out, where we give you our thoughts on a number of players, whether they're going to play this week, including our thoughts on Odell Beckham Jr., I want to say thank you to Draft, our studio sponsor. The Draft app, look, fantasy football fans, you need to listen up. If you're not playing on Draft, you're missing out on something amazing. Look, no salary caps. You play in a real-life snake draft, so you get to keep that draft fun going all year long. And it can be done in under 5 minutes to get one of those drafts on the board. You can set your rankings. You can enter a bunch of different drafts. Last week, I played in a draft against 9 other FootClan members, and I beat them all.
Take that.
Look, they last for just 1 week. There's no management. You get the benefit of, look, you don't have to draft David Johnson ever again this year if you don't want to because he's hurt and you're not stuck with him. And once you're done drafting, that's it. There's no trades, no waivers. They even take care of the last-minute injuries for you. And, look, if you haven't played, you need to go to playdraft.com/ballers. Use that promo code BALLERS, and you can play a real money game for free as long as you use that code BALLERS. Search for Draft in the App Store or go to playdraft.com and play free right now. That's playdraft.com/ballers.
Also, hey, big shout-out to our friends over at Pristine Auction. We talked about them. If you're new to the show, maybe you haven't heard of Pristine Auction, the best place for signed sports memorabilia on the planet. If you have been listening, then you know all about Pristine Auction. You know that their signatures are 100% authentic. They stand behind everything there. You know that it doesn't cost you anything to make an account, to bid on items, to check out all the sweet gear. You can't believe sometimes you can get those signed jerseys. I literally last night, you two fellas got me a signed Lamar Miller jersey as a gift, which is an amazing gift, and I almost took it out and put it on last night to try to get something going and wear it. They're so affordable when you snag these on their auction.
It's an auction.
Yeah, you could just make it your new wardrobe. Who else has?
Jason does not have the respect for signatures that he needs.
Maybe not, but I just think it's amazing. I used to get signed basketballs when I was a kid, and I refused to not play with them.
Yeah, they definitely don't have the respect for signatures that you need.
But no, it was different. It was like it wasn't that I didn't respect it. It was that it made me feel so much greater, using it. But anyways, however you like to respect your signatures, Pristine Auction's the place to get it. PRISTINE auction.com.
All right, it's time for an in or out.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
All right, best guess, LaShawn McCoy. They talked about him. Groin soreness, general soreness. Can he survive 16, and is he going to play this week?
He's not practicing today, but they say it's a scheduled day of rest. He is going to play.
He'll be in
this weekend.
And then out, and then in, and then out through the game, but he'll start.
He's a beast.
He's going to have the most touches in football if he doesn't get hurt. Jordan Howard playing?
In.
Yes.
Jerry Ajayi?
Yeah, he's going to play.
Thomas Rawls coming back.
Yep, he's going to play. And the way I'm handling Thomas Rawls – wait, we'll talk about Rawls later. Sorry.
Really?
I was getting ahead of myself.
Okay, we'll talk about how you're handling Thomas Rawls.
Yes.
Odell Beckham Jr., what's your gut say? I say out.
Man, that is it's the toughest one. I'm going to say out for the sake of people not making a mistake.
Danny Amendola.
Out.
Some talk of Rex Burkhead stepping into the slot there.
Yeah.
He could. He showed the
He's a
chops
good
for it.
pass catcher, yeah.
Cardinals wide receiver John Brown. DNP on Thursday. Did not practice.
He hasn't practiced this week. I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah, I lean out.
Bold take here. Go get J.J. Nelson. Start J.J. Nelson if you need a wide receiver this week. I'm willing to be hot with that take and tell you to go get him. Vontae Davis unlikely to play again for Indianapolis, and I think the Cardinals get back on track this week.
Jermaine Gresham. Well, I guess we'll talk about him in just a second.
Yeah, he's going to be out as well.
Yeah.
So
after getting his German suplex in that game.
Josh Bellamy, yep, he's hurt because there's more wide receivers hurt in Chicago. Deontay Thompson, is he going to be the guy to step in there?
Yeah. No, thank you to Chicago wide receivers.
All right, Vance McDonald added to the injury report. Does he play or is Jesse James all alone today this week?
I
don't
say
think it matters.
Vance is out.
I mean, Vance McDonald is not integrated fully yet into the offense, so it does not matter.
All right, it's time to get into the matchups.
Fantasy Forecast.
It's going to be a rough one on the Jets. They're heading to Oakland. Marshawn Lynch's debut at home, 43.5-point over-under, but the Raiders are favored by 14. Do the math. The Jets aren't scoring a lot of points in this one, according to Vegas at least, and I can't say that I'm excited to start anybody on the New York Jets offense in this game. I'm benching. I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm benching Bilal Powell for Adrian Peterson this week. I am benching Bilal Powell. I do not care about the game flow. I do not care that they will be down. What I saw last week from Oakland in Tennessee, shutting down that running game, it's not going to be pretty. Look, you can say a team like the Jets are going to be down, therefore they pass a lot. You still have to get first downs to get to pass a lot. I'm worried about the first downs and what you're going to see from that offense. Do you guys agree with my take, or would you start Bilal Powell?
I would start Powell over Peterson.
Sure.
But I agree that I'm not you can't be really excited to start anyone from this team. I mean, you thought, well, Robbie Anderson, he can be a sneaky guy at the end of drafts because we saw what Petty did with him last year and just over-targeting him. They trade for Jermaine Kearse like the day before the season starts, and then Kearse is their leading receiver. I mean,
he was in the top 10 in targets.
So if you're playing anyone from this team, especially if you're talking wide receivers, I guess I'm playing Jermaine Kearse.
That's where I would go. Marshawn Lynch, he's a must-start in this game.
Yes.
He has the potential for a multi-touchdown game. Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, no debate there. Let's just talk about Jared Cook for a second. Do you put him in the top 12 this week against
12?
the Jets?
Top 12. I see him as a player that should start. So, yes. I mean, I guess my rankings, I've got him 11. So I think Jared Cook is a good start this week.
It's funny because I hadn't seen this stat when I said it, but the Jets have converted just 10, it says they converted first downs on just 10 of 54 plays. That was the worst in football, whereas the Raiders did it twice as much in week 1, which was second best. So the Jets struggled to convert first downs against Buffalo. I know that the Raiders' defense, we don't know exactly what they are yet.
Fair.
There was concern in the preseason, but I had said, look, this is a vanilla defense in the preseason, and their head coach is known for playing defense, and you've got Mac there. So we'll see what kind of pressure they can put on Josh McCown, what kind of turnovers they can create. I think they're a sneaky defensive play this week as well.
Oh, they're great. They're a great defensive streamer this week.
Always play your Ds against a couple of teams. The Jets,
Browns, and the Colts right now.
Would you rather play
I'll add the Niners in there.
Would you rather play the Raiders against the Jets, or would you rather play Tampa against Chicago if you had a choice?
I would play
Probably
the Raiders.
Would you play the Rams over either of those situations?
No.
Okay.
I don't think I would.
Let's talk about the Dolphins making their 2017 debut, heading into Los Angeles, taking on the football Chargers. That's right.
As opposed to the
basketball Chargers.
Yeah. There we go.
45-point over-under. The Chargers, 4.5-point favorites at home. I think we can all be fairly impressed with Phillip Rivers still putting up a nice fantasy line against the Denver defense. 3 touchdowns in week 1.
Yeah, it really became a necessity towards the end of the game, and you can see they want to run. I mean, they brought in a head coach who is a running backs coach. He wants to run, but they switched to the pass when they had to. With the nice thing for Phillip Rivers, I know he was the man of mediocrity last year. He actually has his weapons. I mean, he had Tyrell Williams last year. Now they have a healthy Keenan Allen for now, and a healthy Travis Benjamin. And everyone had forgotten about Travis Benjamin, who was the big free agent acquisition last year, who got banged up and wasn't able to provide speed, which that's what his game is. He's really fast. And then you saw it, and it brings a whole new dynamic to this offense.
Hunter Henry, you're putting him in the closet, throwing away the key?
I'm putting him on the waivers, and I'm keeping my eyes on him because I don't want to roster multiple tight ends, and I'm not confident enough in his usage in week 1 to start him. So I'll keep an eye on him. If they change their game plan up and it was more of a Denver Broncos thing, then I'll pick him back up.
It's possible, but Antonio Gates, this was the concern for Hunter Henry over the offseason, that Antonio Gates is a stud. He's one of the best pass-catching tight ends in the history of football, and he's still on the team.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Gates is Antonio Gates. They're not going to just – he's either going to be off that team or he's going to be used like he always has been, and that's just the facts. It's interesting in the beginning of the year if you don't have one of the top, let's say 5 or 6 tight ends, the big names, Reed, Graham, Eifert, Gronk, Olsen, I'm in this position in one of my leagues where I kind of just I want to find the breakout tight end.
Zach Ertz.
Well, yeah, but you don't have a
already-
choice. I'm talking about waiver wire, Jay.
Oh.
I'm talking about like you want to find a breakout tight end, whether it's the names I'm throwing out there is it Austin Hooper? What does he do in week 2? Is it Evan Ingram? Does he run a high percentage of routes and get utilized in that offense? Maybe Marshall isn't anything and it's Ingram. Like I find myself wanting to roster a couple heading into the week so that I don't have to play the waiver wire game on. Let's put it this way: if Ingram or Hooper has a breakout week 2 to go with their pretty nice week 1, decent week 1
Austin
for
Hooper had a
Ingram,
great week.
Yeah, he had a great week 1. Aren't those high-priced waiver pickups? Because they're both pass-catching
Right.
talents. I mean, you're looking to
Hooper-
find a difference maker.
Say Hooper, the difference would be all of a sudden he gets 8 targets.
Sure,
I mean,
he only had
it was
2.
2 targets, and he maximized the value. Ingram is if he continues to see usage, or I should say have that usage go up, then yeah, he becomes interesting, but he's not going to be high priced, I don't believe.
Yeah, if both have a good game, there'll definitely be someone that's picked up, but they're not going to be the $20, $25 waiver pickups, I doubt.
Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills. We've said it, I think, yesterday on the show. Might have been in the Footcast, but Devontae Parker is one of those players that love him this year, not sure about this week.
Casey
if I had to
Hayward.
take the under, I mean, if I had to go over-under on this 45 points, I'm taking the under. I think this could be a defensive battle. I really do.
Okay. And it's Parker, this is where I thought you were going, is Devontae Parker is likely to be shadowed by Casey Hayward. Jason Verrett, the other cornerback for the Chargers, was added to the injury report.
Ooh.
I haven't heard anything about him missing the game, but both Verrett and Hayward are excellent DBs. And Devontae Parker, for as much hype as we've talked about in this offseason, and mostly because Smoke and Jay Cuddy don't care and he's going to target him, he's not yet a great wide receiver. So if he has Hayward shadowing him, it could be a really tough day.
Yeah,
for Parker.
I like Ajayi in this matchup because of how good the cornerbacks are for San Diego. I think if you're going to attack the San Diego Chargers defense with Jay Cutler and this system, it should be on the back of Jay Ajayi. Let that open things up for you deep with Kenny Stills, something like that. So I like Jay Ajayi. People were like, why are you so low on Jay Cutler this week? And, you know, it's not that I'm low on Jay Cutler. I'm very high on the cornerbacks that are across the field. So, yeah, I lean towards the running game for Miami. And on the offensive side for San Diego, I pretty much like all the assets. It's not a disrespect to the Dolphins' defense, but I think they've got a really balanced team, and they'll be able to put up enough points to have Keenan Allen and have Melvin Gordon both be very fantasy relevant.
Starting
do you have any-
Tyrell Williams?
I was
Yeah, I
saying, is there
am
any
starting
excitement?
Tyrell Williams this week.
Any
You are?
excitement for Julius?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
So Julius Thomas, I mean, there was at least a little bit of success for the tight ends with Trevor Siemian throwing the ball. Any excitement for Julius Thomas this
On
week?
the basis that the corners may have some of the wideouts locked
Correct.
up? No, wait and see. wait and see for me.
that's
I make the
perfectly
argument
fine.
why he should, and then I still say no. All right, the Cowboys take on the Broncos in Denver. Denver, they're 2-point dogs in this game.
That
Is that accurate? Do you have
Wow.
that?
That's very
let's double check
interesting.
that. Dallas -2 in Denver. Okay.
Dallas's offensive line can control the game. I mean, Denver is not, you know, while their defense has been world class against the pass, they have been middle of the pack against the run. And so if Dallas goes in there and just runs the ball play after play after play, to
which
Zeke,
they can.
Yeah, which they can, and they will.
Yes.
Right now, I have Zeke as my #1 running back of the week. So I am not afraid of the Denver defense when it comes to that. And I think that's what Vegas is reflecting. The fact that if Dallas is able to control the game and score through be able to move the ball through the running game, it's hard to beat them.
I think Mike and I have a pretty strong disagreement on Des Bryant this week. Mike, you've said that you're willing to just start him in this
Yes.
matchup. I'd like to find another option if I'm on the road in Denver.
And I don't blame you if you want to do that. I'm going off of he got open against Janoris Jenkins, and Jenkins was his kryptonite last year. But Dak just missed him. I mean, you're talking a foot. A foot changes the outcome of Des Bryant's fantasy week last week, and which would also then give you a boost of confidence. So I'm still playing him on the Broncos side of the receivers. We should
say Terrence Williams. He was unable to practice.
Yes.
He's likely to miss the game. I imagine that means more targets for Cole Beasley and that Bryce Butler would step in.
That is how I would read the situation as well. Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, I like them this week. I think you should have confidence plugging them back into your lineup. I know it was rough, but I mean that was Jason Verrett and Casey Hayward shutting down the receivers. So I'm not buying in to the Cowboys secondary based off of what happened.
I'll
against the Giants.
I'll water bet you Demaryius Thomas versus Des Bryant.
I don't think I would. I would have to actually look at my rankings. I mean, I probably would favor Thomas slightly. So.
All right. Well, then we will not bet. No. We will not bet then. All right. Let's go ahead and move down the line here. Let's talk about the Redskins and the Rams. The Rams came out, Jason, son of Bum.
Yeah. They've
Wade
got
Phillips
great
got it done.
Coordinator, and now they get Aaron Donald back on that defense, and they're going up against a team that I predicted for an offensive collapse. So far, they did not look good week one, and I worry about the Redskins' options. Again, I'm not in love with the Rams' defense. I think a lot of what made the Rams' defense great was the Colts' offense without Andrew Luck. But I'm not scared of the Redskins' offense either. So I think this is going to be one of those games where Terrell Pryor has a better week than he had last week, but not great. I don't have any Redskin really breaking out this week and changing what we saw in week one, other than just Terrell Pryor maybe being able to reel in a couple more of those catches.
The Rams are 2.5-point favorites at home in this game. In my
wow.
Andy's almost upset of the week.
The Rams are favored.
That's
I mean,
right.
they're at home, so
I do think that I've made this decision. I've been staring down. Look, 29 points from the Rams defense last week, and I made the determination this morning. I would rather play Tampa against Chicago than I would the Rams and risk it against an offense that has not been but can be very explosive. And I think that the Redskins will get it done in this game. I know that Kirk Cousins, traditionally slow starter, struggles for Rob Kelly last week. I think you're going to see a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde from the Rams this year, and this is a game that I think will be competitive. I think ultimately my take is that Washington gets it done, and I would start Terrell Pryor. I think people want to know what they have in Jamison Crowder and Rob Kelly right now, though. That's the question that a lot of people have, because you drafted Crowder at the highest draft capital he's ever gone for, and you got nothing last week. You saw Chris Thompson effective, but no Samaje Perine in the backfield.
Well, because Jay Gruden doesn't forget fumbles.
Yeah,
I can't believe
that is a joke.
That I can't believe that.
You know who
is a
forgets?
real
You know
statement
who forgets
right now.
fumbles? You know who forgets fumbles? Andy Reid. Where'd that get you?
Yeah.
250 yards of total offense for Kareem Hunt.
The rookie record, yards from scrimmage, is what happened. And Jay Gruden would have benched him.
Benched him for life.
No, he would have. And now, just imagine this. If you're a Samaje Perine owner, I am in one league. Let's say Rob Kelly poops the bed again, and Samaje Perine gets an opportunity next week. I'm freaking out that he's going to drop the – he may have a 200-yard game and drop the ball, and you don't see him again.
And here's the problem. You know who else is freaking out? Samaje Perine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is just
it's like telling someone, hey, just don't worry. You know, you're going into this big, important event or so. Just don't freak out.
Whatever you do.
Do not worry.
Don't breathe heavily.
What do you think's going to happen here,
I mean,
Jay?
that's just – you're the coach? You're supposed to be the leader?
So, Jason weighed in on what he thinks of the Redskins' offense in this game. I will say it's a nice matchup for Goff in Game 2 after a nice first game, because the Redskins allowed the most first downs last week. Goff had a very nice start to his season.
A lot of that, though, was Carson Wentz just being an absolute slippery.
Slippery.
I was going to go slippery worm. I mean, he was just he was greased up or something. and was breaking out of tackles. That's not Jared Goff's
But
game.
Jordan Reed, Rob Kelly, Jamison Crowder. Are you starting them or are you not starting them?
I'm still starting everybody.
All three of them.
Yeah, I mean, and remember, Crowder was added to the injury report right before week 1, and there was like, well, is Crowder even going to play? So he's a bit banged up right now.
Whatever you do, Mike, don't mess up your predictions. Don't mess them up. I don't forget.
The North remembers.
Ugh. 49ers travel to Seattle to get their butts handed to them by the Seahawks. The Seahawks are the 14-point favorites.
Is that what they tell their wives when they're boarding the plane? Yeah, I got to go get my butt handed to me.
No,
we'll be back next week.
And it's not fair. I mean, no, it's fair. All right, the Seahawks, they're going to have their way with the 49ers up in Seattle. If you wanted to lock down a victory, this would be one that is as close to a lock as you can get. The real question for fantasy owners is how much production will you get out of the offensive weapons in San Francisco, namely Carlos Hyde and Pierre Garçon. I think those are the only two names worth mentioning there. And then who do you expect to be the backfield leader for Seattle in a very favorable matchup at home?
All right, the San Francisco analysis, it's really going to be the same thing every week. It's what can we get out of them? Not entirely sure because the Seahawks have a great defense, but Carlos Hyde and Pierre Garçon are weekly starters. I don't know if there's a situation where I'm ever benching them.
I would find plenty of situations. I'm sure there are a lot of teams that, because of where you draft Pierre Garçon, you have better options this week. He's my 36th ranked wide receiver. So you're right. That's still on that cusp of, okay, if you usually start 3, then he's a starter. And so it's not the worst thing in the world if you have to start Pierre Garçon. But I think there's going to be a lot of teams that have better options, and I would be okay sitting Garçon because his upside here, if I just don't see, him getting, if he gets 8 receptions, right? I don't think which would be great. I think that's closer to 8 for 60, than 8 for 108.
The ceiling is definitely challenged in this matchup. Would you rather start Kelvin Benjamin or Pierre Garçon?
And a reminder,
Kelvin.
Richard Sherman remains sidelined at Thursday's practice. So I mean, he's dealing with a hammy.
Well,
that doesn't influence you at all?
If he's out, it certainly does. Him getting rest on a Thursday to protect a hammy does not yet.
Yeah, and it doesn't come. It's a pass rush. I mean, it's getting to Brian Hoyer. It's making Brian Hoyer, not be able to cross the 50. So yeah, Garçon could have 6 to 7 receptions, but Thomas Rawls.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about. If you have Thomas Rawls and you drafted him, you had him on the bench, you're going, yes, now is the time. I'm only plugging Rawls in if I absolutely have to do it. I'm not excited about it, but I'm not playing Lacey. At this point, I'm not playing Carson because you have the reverse bugaboo here from Pete Carroll, who the guy he talked up this week was Chris Carson, just like Eddie Lacy, who was ready to get 20 to 25 carries last week. By that, he meant he's going to get like 5 carries. So
this is the game for Thomas Rawls to win the job going into the future.
But are you excited to play him? I mean, the matchup is amazing.
Someone's going to score a lot. I mean, when you're favored by 2 touchdowns and you're at home, that really favors the running game for the offense, but we just don't know who it is.
Lacey could end up with 2 touchdowns.
I was actually going to bring that up.
Terrible as that is.
I know Eddie Lacy is on most waivers or a lot of waivers. We said he was okay to drop if there were better options out there. But I also think he might be worth just picking up because he is still a starting running back, and this matchup is so good. He could look completely different after this week. I'm not predicting that he will, but there is that chance that if you're picking up handcuffs, I would rather pick up someone who has that kind of an opportunity.
Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin were both my starts of the week in this matchup. I think they get back on track.
Yes.
I'd be confident with Jimmy Graham as well. Sunday Night Football. This one should be more exciting than Thursday Night Football.
Sunday night.
You get Aaron Rodgers and you get Matt Ryan, the Packers and the Falcons. Falcons 3-point favorites at home in a 54-point over-under.
I like how you megaphoned that.
Yeah, I mean, that's juicy.
That's the opposite of last night's. Well, I think the line
that was a
four-point
over-under. So, I mean, big names that you always start in this matchup. Let's put you on the spot, though. Devontae Adams or Randall Cobb in this game?
I'm going Devontae Adams because of the scoring opportunities here. That's where Adams, Adams only had 4 receptions last week, but that's pretty much like par for the course. It's just a matter of does he get in the end zone, and I think this is a game that he can get in the end zone.
Well, you're not far off on that. I mean, 75 receptions breaks down to basically 5 a game.
Yeah.
So
And Aaron Rodgers, historically, the way we've seen him handle the Seahawks, he doesn't often challenge those cornerbacks. He just takes what's there, and Randall Cobb was getting open. I'm with Jason. I would play Adams over Cobb this week if I'm making that decision.
all right. Austin Hooper?
Maybe.
He's a wait and see for me still. I wonder how good the Green Bay Packers defense is going to be, and he only had 2 targets last week. Obviously, one of them was very valuable. You could start him and end up with a great game. It would not shock me if Austin Hooper, who was drafted to be a great tight end, who goes to a good situation with a quarterback that used Tony Gonzalez forever. A lot of things stack up. I like Austin Hooper a lot. But he would be one of those guys like, Andy, you were bringing up, if you wanted to roster 2 tight ends, which I usually don't, he is the type where you want to wait and see what you have because it might be something very special, but I would not start him in this matchup.
I mean, he was a waiver ad this week. I guess some people may have drafted him. But you likely have a better option already in place. And last week, the Packers shut down Jimmy Graham, who at this point in their careers is a much better tight end than Austin Hooper. So I'm not excited to plug him in just yet.
Okay. And obviously as the weeks go on, especially from week 3, week 4 and on, we'll be breaking down the run and pass defenses for these teams. If we throw those numbers out to you right now, they don't have the stability that I think is required to bring those numbers to fantasy relevance. Is that fair to say?
It's very fair.
So we have them, but I don't think the Packers' pass defense is going to be 4th all season long.
Or maybe they are.
No, they're not. They have they didn't change overnight. The Packers have a bad secondary. The problem was the Seattle Seahawks have a terrible offensive line. Russell Wilson didn't have the opportunity to test the secondary because he was on his butt. That's what happened in week 1.
Oh, speaking of quarterbacks being on their butt, that play last night, sorry to interrupt.
Geno
When
Atkins?
Geno Atkins came through the line and gives him the 2-hand shove, and he
Deshaun
does
Watson
a
saw
backflip.
his life flash before his eyes.
It was unbelievable.
Like his torso and his legs separated. And before snapping back together like a rubber band.
I was not live when I was watching it yet. I was a
dude.
little bit behind, and I see Andy posting this WWF GIF in Slack of like,
because that's what happened.
and then I saw the play. I was like, well, I'm positive which play he was talking about now. Anyways, sorry.
Monday Night Football. Lions, Giants.
Football at night. Who knows?
A little bit of an update. Odell Beckham did practice again today.
Uh-oh.
Still on the fence about Monday. You need that backup plan, whether it's Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, maybe it's
Eric Ebron.
Okay, so with the news that he did practice today, like we talked about the question earlier, the person with Deshaun Jackson, I would go get Shepard, and I would hold out for Beckham.
Right.
The fact that he's actually
get a Monday Night Football option.
That's how I would handle it.
Matthew Stafford had a great week 1. Probably a waiver wire darling for many. 40 fantasy points in our league of record. Kind of flew in the face of what we expected him to do against a very tough Arizona secondary. Here you go against a Giants defense that's pretty strong at home. Matthew Stafford doesn't generally travel well in terms of fantasy point production on the road versus
Forgets
at home.
to pack them.
Yeah, he doesn't bring his fantasy points with him.
Oh, I forgot the suitcase again.
What do you think happens in this Monday night matchup? Do you think Stafford has a passable fantasy game?
Passable, yes. Not one that I would love or want to start. I mean, Vegas is expecting this to be a lower scoring game. I agree with that because the Giants defense is good and the offense right now looks so bad. I think that hurts the value of Matthew Stafford. He's not going to have to be playing catch up. He leaves the comfort of home and the dome. So I'm not really big on Matthew Stafford or frankly, I don't think I'm big on just about any Detroit Lions.
Did you say you believe that Matthew Stafford's playing catch-up in this game?
No, I'm saying I don't think he will. That limits his upside, which limits Theo Riddick's upside. Amir Abdullah, I mean, I've been saying for a while I'm not high on him in general, and this isn't a great matchup for him.
If either Abdullah or Riddick get anything going, it's passing.
I think
work. The run game is going to be
these are the two backfields
down
that already are the worst. I mean, last year they they ran the ball the least and they were the least efficient. It's the Perkins Riddick Abdullah
This is
show.
going to turn into a running game now.
If the team
watch that,
yeah. Well, this one I'm going to say, if the Lions have more than 30 yards rushing as a team, I will be impressed.
There you go.
That's how little I believe in the rushing game this week.
Golden Tate
would be the only guy I'm willing
you're
to
going to start him. Marvin Jones or Kenny Golladay in this one, or as they are now calling him, whether they want to or not, Babytron.
Yeah, shout out to JJ Zachariason. He is spreading that one, but I'm staying strong.
Oh, we're staying on those smooth routes.
Kenny
Bring
G.
it on, JJ. Bring it on. Kenny G versus Babytron. I love it.
Babytron doesn't have this sweet.
Oh,
sweet. Oh, they're so smooth. Smooth.
You're sitting him though, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, all that said, definitely sitting Kenny G.
But if I have to pick between Golladay and Jones, I'm probably playing Golladay.
Big play potential.
I'm avoiding Jenkins.
Yeah, they both have big play potential, but I think the
Janoris
better quarterback
Jenkins
will be on Marvin Jones. I'm not playing either of them though.
Is Brandon Marshall? Does he have any chance of bouncing back in this game and saving some fantasy relevance?
Does he have a chance? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he really does. I'm
there's a chance.
I'm anti Brandon Marshall. Before this year, I did not think he was going to have a good fantasy year. That being said, I like him better as a 2 than a 1 right now, and he's a squeaky wheel. So if Odell Beckham comes back, and I'm sure this week has not been quiet about get me the ball, let me have a chance. He'll get more targets this week, and I think he could be somewhat relevant.
There's a difference between an expensive squeaky wheel and a cheap squeaky wheel. I don't put confidence in Adrian Peterson's chirping that he's going to get more work because he wants more, and I'm not sure I would put stock into Marshall despite the fact that I actually like Brandon Marshall.
Well, yeah, the difference there to me is that when Adrian Peterson's a squeaky wheel, Sean Payton, the head coach, is the one he's got to win over. Whereas Brandon Marshall has to win over Eli. The pass plays are going to be called. It's just a matter of where Eli chooses to go.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on. We're going to do we're going to do a little draft.
Ooh.
The Daily Dose, brought to you by PlayDraft.
All right, we're going to do a live draft right now, 5 players each, and get this, we're doing an expert draft. That means the top 10 quarterbacks, top 20 wide receivers, and top 20 running backs are off the board. We do not have them as options this week, so you're going to see us
drafting some garbage.
No, just basically making the tough decisions that you got to make out there as opposed to just drafting Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah,
so, Mike,
this is actually tough. So I'm starting it off.
You're on the clock, and you're going to kick it off right in 5 seconds here.
So I got the 1-1. I've got 2 players that I've got my eye on. But I'm gonna start it off with a running back in a high scoring over/under. I'm gonna take, because I believe I'm taking Mike Gillislee.
Okay,
could see some touchdowns. Some more touchdowns.
That was one of the few guys that I had targeted.
I'm actually going to I'm going to grab DeMarco Murray.
Dang it.
And,
that was one of the
That was the other. It was the Jacksonville matchup that I like Murray. And
all 3 times that we've done these drafts, I've ended up in the second spot. I have not had a chance to be at the turn. So Jason's on the clock for 2 picks now. Mike went Gillislee. I went DeMarco Murray. And Jason is facing.
Yeah, I really would have liked him. I'm going touchdown upside with Jonathan Stewart against Buffalo. And at quarterback, there's no super exciting option, but Big Ben at home.
He was on my list.
Big Ben at home is usually a pretty solid, safe pick.
All right, it's back around to me, my second pick. I'm staring down choices like Demaryius Thomas, Martavis Bryant.
These running backs are
Stephon
tough,
Diggs, Alshon Jeffrey. I'm actually going to go ahead and jump on the player I said would have a good game earlier. I'm going to take Demaryius Thomas in this matchup.
Oh man, that's a great pick up there. I will. Oh goodness, man! All right, I'm gonna take. I'm just gonna go all touchdown upside. That's my strategy for this week. So I'm gonna go with Tevin Coleman as my other running back and wide receiver because he's my guy, Michael Crabtree, in a great matchup against the Jets.
This is awful.
All right,
every guy I want, you guys are taking.
I'm coming back around here, and I'm gonna pair DeMarco Murray with Christian McCaffrey. Take Christian McCaffrey in the third round. And,
which draft? And for those who don't know, draft is a half-point PPR scoring format.
30
Which 30 draft? And for those who don't know, draft is a half-point PPR scoring format. Which draft? And for those who don't know, draft is a half-point PPR scoring format. Which draft? And for those who don't know, draft is a half-point PPR scoring format.
So we are in an expert draft. That's why you're not hearing the big names go off the board. We're making some decisions based on matchups.
Half-point PPR against a terrible defense. If there's no John Brown, I'm taking Larry Fitzgerald.
It's a great pick.
I think he's
that's a
safe this
fantastic pick. I should have grabbed him.
Man, running backs. I guess I'm gonna go with one of my guys here. Oh man, Mark Ingram or James White. Which way do you go?
Yeah.
I guess I go with my guy Ingram.
I'm going to go ahead and jump on Terrell Pryor.
Oh, that's a great pick.
You going to get caught up in the
Terrell Pryor.
All right, so I'm on the turn here. I have just 2 more picks left, which means I take a quarterback and a wide receiver or a tight end. And I'm going to pull up for my starting quarterback. Man, I kind of want to go Mariota, but I'm not. I'm going to go with the fresh arm of Jameis Winston against Chicago. I'm not buying in.
I've only got one guy that I want.
Did I take one?
No.
Oh, you already took Big Ben. You didn't need him.
No. I'm just hoping that you guys don't take him.
All right, and then I'm going to try and counteract. I'm going to pull up some Mylanta for Jason's Big Ben. Get my other guy, Martavis Bryant. Get the alien on the squad at home.
All right. Well, then I'm safe because Andy's already got 2 wide receivers.
I went ahead and took Carson Palmer as my quarterback against Indianapolis for some upside, and that wraps up my roster.
Said I would take Devontae Adams over Randall Cobb, which is absolutely true, but Devontae Adams is gone. Huge over-under touchdown opportunity, so I'll take Cobb to finish it out.
All right. Expert draft completed. Remember,
I hate my team.
The loser. Well, yeah, the loser of this. Did you draft your player, Jason?
Yeah, I did.
I see 5, 4, 3, 2,
I drafted
1.
Cobb. He's on my team. I see it on my phone.
All right, so we wrapped up the draft. Why don't you read back your roster? I've got Palmer, Murray, McCaffrey, Thomas, and Pryor.
I've got Big Ben, Mark Ingram and Jonathan Stewart, and Randall Cobb, Larry Fitzgerald. I've got an older team.
You're just seasoned team. I got
veteran.
Jameis, Gilly, Coleman, Crabtree, Bryant.
So the loser will once again eat something terrible for lunch this week.
Or maybe it's delicious like Spam.
No, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. We're never getting you Spam again now that you like it.
I mean, it was terrible. Don't get me Spam again, guys.
Just another example of one of the ways you can play on draft. You can do expert drafts. You can do beginners drafts. You can do quarterback-only drafts. Or you can just be in larger quantity drafts, like 10, 12 people to a league. So you can check it out at playdraft.com/ballers. That is it for today's episode. Mike will be on Periscope Sunday morning answering your questions.
And for those asked, what time? What time? An hour before kickoff, Sunday morning.
All right. Check out our community at jointhefoot.com. We will be talking to you Sunday morning and back to recap all the games on Monday.
Absolutely. FootClan, it's week 2 time. That means crush it. It means that every week, so goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.